Hi Chipmunks, it's Miss Kirsten, and I'm not sure if you know this or not, but in April we were going to have Night of the Arts, and everyone in each class gets to pick an artist and imitate them, which means copy them. And so Miss Kathleen and I were talking, and we thought it would be fun to have an art week in Chipmunk class. And so I have this awesome book, Fancy Nancy, Aspiring Artist, and I'm going to share it with you guys. And then Miss Kathleen and I have a bunch of ideas that we shared with your parents of activities that you can do and artists who you can copy. And we hope that you have a lot of fun this week being an artist. So here is what happens in Fancy Nancy. It is spring vacation, so I should be ecstatic, joyous, carefree. Those are all fancy words for happy. But I'm not. Bree and her family just left for New York City, the glamour capital of the world. My mom knows I am a little glum, which is sad in a fancy way. So when she comes back from grocery shopping, she has treats, a big box of crayons for my sister, and a set of glitter markers for me. What a splendid parent my mother is. While I'm doodling with my new markers, inspiration strikes. That means I get a great idea. I will turn my clubhouse into an art studio and spend my vacation making gorgeous works of art. Besides some supplies, that's fancy for markers and paints and paper, all you need in an art studio is an artist. I'm wearing a smock and a beret. That's French for cap. Don't you think my beret makes me look more talented? My sister can only scribble. Even though scribbling doesn't count as real art, I tell her how beautiful her pictures are. In the afternoon, I have dance class. All over the studio are posters of ballerinas by a French artist named Edgar Degas. While I am playing, suddenly inspiration strikes. I return to my art studio and draw beautiful ballerinas, just like Edgar Degas did. So you can see the poster that he made and then the pictures that Nancy made when she's the ballerina. On Monday, I tell Mrs. Devine about my art studio. Her favorite artist is Claude Monet. She tells me he didn't like to work in a studio. He loved painting outdoors, even in winter. He'd wear 3 coats and a blanket to keep from freezing. Brr. Suddenly, inspiration strikes again. I would love to paint outdoors in your garden, just like Claude Monet. Nancy makes beautiful flower paintings. On Tuesday, I invite my friend Lionel over. He can act like a real goofball, but he is the most talented artist in our class. His faces are so good. Nobody does noses like Lionel. Not to brag, but I'm the second most talented. You can ask anybody. Here is a portrait Lionel drew of me. Look at that. A portrait is a picture of someone's face. I don't really have a mustache or a goatee. Then Lionel poses for me, but he keeps making crazy faces. Lionel is such a goofball. On Wednesday, ooh la la, a letter from Bree. I adore getting mail, don't you? Look what she did on the back of the envelope. She wrote SWAK. That means sealed with a kiss. Here is the front of the card Bree sent. She went to a world-famous museum where she saw this picture by Henri Matisse. He made it from pieces of colored paper that he cut out. Inspiration strikes once more! I get construction paper, glue, and scissors, and voila! I make a picture like Henri Matisse did. Even though wings on real butterflies always match, mine have 2 different wings. That's okay. Artists can break the rules. Even though I have been in the studio for hours on Thursday, everything I draw today stinks. My mom comes in to tell me that Lionel's grandma called. She's taking him to a 3D movie, and he wants you to come. Alas, I can't go. I'm waiting for inspiration to strike. Nancy, it's wonderful to be dedicated. That means working really hard, but take a break. It will get your creative juices flowing again. My mother knows I listen better when she uses fancy words. Oh, look, there's creative juice. It's actually just your imagination. My mom was right. After I get home, my creative juices start flowing. The movie was about really weird fish that live on the bottom of the ocean. Mine are imaginary. That means I made them up. For a special treat on Friday, my dad is taking us to the art museum. Lionel comes too. On the way over, he pretends to be car sick. My dad starts to pull over, but I explain that Lionel's just being a goofball. At the museum, there is a real painting by Claude Monet. That's this one right here. I wish I knew a fancy word for how it makes me feel. All I can say is the colors make my eyes happy and my heart happy too. Lionel says he likes this painting. At first, I think he's kidding. It's just a big bunch of black drips and blobs. But the harder I look, the more interesting it is. Some parts look lacy. One part is almost like a spider web. My dad really likes it too. My dad tells us he once saw a movie about the artist, Jackson Pollock. He put the canvas on the floor and poured on paint straight from the can. He also used paint sticks to make dribbles and all kinds of patterns. Inspiration strikes again. I turn to Lionel. We could make a big painting like Jackson Pollock. We'll do it tomorrow when Bree is back. On Saturday, at last, Bree and I are reunited. That's fancy for back together again. I tell her it's officially Jackson Pollock Day. Not really, but doesn't that sound important? My parents spread out a sheet in the backyard and find leftover cans of house paint. We wear old clothes, put on hip-hop music for inspiration, and then, ooh la la. We fling and flick paint. We make swirls and splatters. We drip and dribble. We are painting and dancing at the same time. Jackson Pollock was a very serious professional artist, but making a painting this way is silly and fun. Later, I show Bree all my art from this week. She shows me her sketches from New York City. My mom tells Lionel to stop sticking carrot sticks up his nose. Can you see Lionel? So silly. Then she says, "You have so much art. You could have an art show." What a splendid idea! We hang all our artwork on the clothesline. We make a sign for the front yard announcing the exhibit. Exhibit is a fancy word for show. On Sunday, our art exhibit is a smashing success. That's a fancy way to say everyone has a good time and tells us how talented we are. I give Mrs. Devine one of the paintings I did in her garden. I tell her, I can't believe how tired my hands are from all the art I made this week. Mrs. Devine says that she knows the perfect remedy for aching artist hands. A manicure. Chipmunks, Ms. Kathleen and I hope you have so much fun being artists this week, and we hope that your parents will share some beautiful pictures of your art or send us a video of you hard at work, and at the end of the week, maybe you'll even have your very own art exhibit. We can't wait to see what you guys are up to, and we miss you bunches. Bye, Chipmunks.